Hey everyone, it's Anna. Welcome back to my art channel and thank you for being here. Today I'm doing a little resin project. Now those of you who watch a lot of my videos will know I don't work a ton with resin, but I have been having a lot of fun this past summer trying out some different things. So today I'm making some resin dominoes inspired by the seashore. It's going to be a 2-layer pour with some real seashells set inside, so it's like you're looking through the water at some shells that are lying on the sand. I'm really excited about this. Let's get started.
If your protective suit doesn't look more or less like this, you are not properly protected from resin vapors.
All right, so here I am. I'm set up in my garage. I've got my resin, I've got my table all set up, and then I've got my domino molds. So these molds are from Let's Resin, and they're really nice. They're sturdy, but they're flexible, and I'm using epoxy resin also from Let's Resin. All right, so to mix this up, it's a 1-to-1 resin. So I just start with one part and fill it up to half the amount that I need, and then I'm going to add the other half. Because I'm doing this in 2 layers, I'm mixing up the first color first, which is going to be blue, and then I'll wait until that has begun to cure before I make the gold sand color. Okay, I've got my epoxy in there. Now I'm going to grab this resin mixer from Estoyo. I love this thing. It saves so much time and energy and makes it so much easier to mix your resin with a lot less bubbles. So if you're interested in either the molds or the resin or the mixer, I will have all of those links down in the video description and you can check those out there. So just mix up your resin really thoroughly. You want to make sure that every single bit of resin is mixed up with every single bit of hardener. And it usually takes a couple of minutes. It takes a little less time when you're using a mixer, but it's still, you want to do it for a solid couple of minutes. Okay, so my cup of resin is all mixed. I'm going to separate the mixer from the little paddle so that I can add in some colors. So I have this chameleon powder from Let's Resin. I have Teal, so that's a color shifting powder, sort of from blue to green. I'm going to put in a little bit of that. And then I have some alcohol ink also. So I'm adding several drops of that. I don't have a lot of measurements. It's kind of doing it by feel and hoping that that it works out right. So there I've got some lovely blue resin. Looks great. So I'll just grab an alcohol wipe and clean off my resin mixer paddle. These things are really easy to clean off. You just let the excess resin drip off and then you wipe it with that alcohol wipe and you can get it all off. All right, who's ready to pour some resin into the molds? I'm excited. So because it's 2 layers, I don't need to split side to side. I'm just going to pour some into each slot and then get it all leveled out. Try to make sure that you have the same amount of resin in each of these sections, otherwise your layers are going to look uneven when you look at your dominoes from the side. Okay, now it's time for me to add the shells. So I bought some little jars of tiny seashells from a craft store, and I've sort of laid them out in groups so that it's very easy for me to make a balanced pattern of those and so that I don't have to figure it out as I go. I just know, all right, one of these, and then two of those, and then one of these, and then two of those. It helps to lay it out in advance, because when you have all of your safety gear on, and your respirator and your gloves, and you've got sticky resin all over the place, that's not when you want to be figuring things out. So get it all worked out in advance. Make it as easy as you can for yourself. So I'm just going to put all of these shells into the resin and then leave it to cure for a couple of hours before I add the sand color. I'm using my tweezers to just carefully level out the shells so that they won't stick out the bottoms of the dominoes. Alright, I think that's got it. So I will cover that with a bin and let it sit for a while until that blue resin starts to set up. And then I will come back and mix the sand color. Alright, I'm back. Time to mix some more resin. So I'm going to do exactly the same process as before. I'm going to mix 1 part of the epoxy resin with 1 part of the hardener, and then give it a good thorough mixing with my resin mixer. Okay, time to color it. So I have some of this chameleon powder. This is olive. It looks white, it sort of color shifts to greenish gold, and then I also have some regular gold glitter. And I'm going to be adding some of both of those because I really want it to be shimmery, shiny, look like sparkly sand. Getting that mixed up. And now I'm also going to add some alcohol ink to tint the whole thing. So the colors that I'm using, I have a yellow because I want it to be a nice warm sand color. But if you just add yellow, then it looks very yellow and gold. So to make it look more realistic, you also have to add some white and some brown so that you add that kind of tan look to it. So the white helps make it milky and kind of opaque. And then I just add a drop or two of the brown just to make it look a little bit more tan and less yellow. And then give that a good thorough mix and clean off your resin paddle again. Alright, so here we are layering that gold sand color on top of the blue. So depending on how long you have let the blue resin cure, the sand may pour on super easily, or it may sort of blend. Actually, in this video, this is my first try making these resin seashell dominoes, and I didn't let the blue resin cure long enough, which is why you can kind of see that the sand color is mixing in with it, instead of forming a really nice layer. So I ended up doing it again, and I didn't film it because the video looks essentially the same. Trust me, you want to let your blue resin cure long enough before you add the sand color. So go ahead and fill those all the way up to the top. You want to make sure that each one of those little sections is filled all the way up to the top, because if it's too low, you'll get sort of a concave look on the edge of your dominoes instead of a nice smooth back. Don't forget to occasionally torch out some bubbles. Now you do want to be careful when you're using a silicone mold because the heat can warp the silicone. So just do it quickly, do it gently, don't hang out in any one spot for too long. Alright, time to get the rest of those dominoes covered up with the sand color. Alright, I think that's got it all. So let me give it one final torch. If there are any seashells that are poking up, just push them back down into the resin. Make sure that they're down where they need to be and they're not going to stick up out of your design. Alright, it's time to cover this up and let it cure fully. So I'll just wipe off the tabletop and then cover it with a nice clean plastic bin, and that will keep out the dust or pet hair or anything else that could mess up the surface of your resin. There we go! I will show you how these look when they are all done. Okay, you want to see them? They are all done. Dun da da da! Here they are. Okay, so they look kind of green because the blue on top of the yellow, you know, it has that effect. But they look really cool. So through that blue water, they're still clear enough that you can see the shell, you can see the shimmery sand underneath. And what I love is that looking from the side, there is a clear delineation between the sand and the water. So that's really cool. You know, there's some of these where there's two different shells. Sometimes you can see the shell in the profile. Try to not get glare there, it's kind of hard. So I painted the little divots, the grooves and stuff. I painted this with pearlescence from Creative Inspirations. So it's got a nice shimmer, kind of like a pearl. So I think that adds a really nice touch. And then this box, this is just a cigar box from the craft section at Walmart. So it is the perfect size for holding a set of these Let's Resin Dominos. If you saw my other Dominoes tutorial, you saw that the back was kind of concave because I didn't quite fill the molds all the way. These ones are much better. I filled them all the way up and it's much smoother. The edges aren't totally perfect, but they're pretty close. So, thanks for watching. I think these look really cool. Let me know if you have ever worked with resin, and what have you made other than just ceiling paintings or something. Let me know, how do you stay safe while you work with resin? What's your resin setup? I'd love to hear that. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you back at my channel very soon for another video. Bye!